Good morning, everybody. This is Elio Piedra and another morning coffee with Elio. Do you remember that we have Ariel Lane, one of the leaders of March for Our Freedom, few episodes ago? But today we have the absolute pleasure and honor to have another great leader of that epic and historical day. Are you ready? Because this is coming to you right after the intro. Yes, here at Morning Coffee with Elio. We are coming back. Get up, baby, this morning. This is Elio Piedra. Another morning means another coffee because this is Morning Coffee with Elio. This is going to be a great day. We have a fantastic guest. Welcome back to Morning Coffee with Elio. And let's give a warm welcome to the amazing Reuben Fauloghi. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I got air in my lungs, so I can't complain right now.
That's wonderful. I love your energy. I love, all the ideas that we've been talking about, and that I can't wait to share with our morning coffee community here. Because let me tell you guys, this is the leader that we've been talking about. This is the leader that we've been promoting at Morning Coffee with Elio. And we're going to be talking about humanity, about ideas, how to improve yourself, especially how to deal with your emotions in times of crisis. This is amazing. So, Ruben, you are an activist for humanity. I call you that, and you like it. And you were so fantastic and so inspiring the last March 30th, at March for Our Freedom. Everybody was really into your ideas, into your speech, into your leadership, and you have a huge background, about marching for your freedom. And sharing your ideas not only about Black Lives Matters, but also about how to come all together as one. What can you tell me about this?
I mean, there's so much to tell you about this. I think I feel grateful for the life experiences that I've had. I think I come from a family of Nigerian immigrants who show me the value of maximizing your life. Through education. Respecting other humans, respecting yourself. And I've been able to play high level college football at the University of Georgia. Go Dogs! And I've had the opportunity to transition out of that and to complete a PhD in psychology. And then throughout those experiences, I've been able to learn a lot, and really better understand myself. The more I would learn about those experiences, whether it's being an athlete or training as a psychologist, the more I would learn about not only who I am as a person, but what I am as a spirit, as a spiritual being here on this earthly journey.
That is fantastic. What can you tell me about an event that took place back in the day when you were in college? I remember we were talking about a protest that you were part of when you were in college, and that actually was very important for you to be part of that. Okay, what can you tell me about this?
Well, it's important to separate, to make the distinction between college as an undergrad, where I was at UGA and playing football, and then when I was in graduate school in Columbia, Missouri, at the University of Missouri. Um, and I think actually, both of these actually were really important because as an athlete, you're part of this system, this hierarchy where you're the worker, and then you have athletics coaches who are over you, and you experience a type of oppression, but you don't. I didn't have the language to describe what was going on, and so that would be the beginning of me asking questions like, why I don't enjoy being told what to do, you know, you know, coaches, athletic department officials, staff, they're making they're making money off of our backs, but then I have teammates who can't send money, who are sending their checks home for their families to eat. And so I started asking questions, why am I, behaving in these toxic ways towards women? Oh, it's like, okay, that's not right. I have 5 sisters. Reuben, that's incongruent for you. So I started to really ask tough questions. Reuben, you're more than an athlete. Like, you value academics. And so I started asking questions, and when I got to graduate school, it was almost like I didn't have the distraction of football, so I could really hone in not only on what was going on in the world, but who I was on a deeper level. And so, um, it was an identity shift. I was a student athlete throughout high school and throughout undergrad. And when I got to college, when I got to graduate school, I was I was a black student. I was just a student who was black, getting a PhD, and that experience is a little bit different than a black student who is an athlete. Um, and so 2014 came around, and that was the shooting death of Michael Brown. I've been telling people recently that my George Floyd moment happened in 2014, because Ferguson was 2 hours away from our campus at the University of Missouri. So you had students who came from that community, literally, who were feeling this pain. And then you also had white students who, came from rural communities in Missouri and Illinois. And it was like a culture class. You had people who wanted to be understood, as black people, and the pain to be felt. And then you also had white folks who had limited interactions with people who were black. And, I think it was hard for them to connect to the black experience. And so it created a lot of tension on campus. And so that actually makes sense. You get people who are different together, they really don't know how to make these differences work. But the institution, they were not effective at navigating this conflict on campus. And actually they made it worse. And so, part of my intro into activism was going to my first protest in 2014. It was a protest. Again, I keep shouting out black women in my Facebook posts, and I'm going to keep doing it because they are initiators. So three queer black women, they hosted this die-in in the student center at the University of Missouri, and it was powerful. Like, I mean, I played in front of thousands of people playing football, but to come in this space where people are focused on one cause and voicing how they feel, their pain, vulnerably, openly, and speaking to power, it was one of the most powerful things I've ever been a part of. And so that was the catalyst for me saying, okay, I want to dive into this thing deeper. I don't want to be a bystander. I want to activate, so to speak.
When you say when you're saying that they made it worse, what do you mean? How they made it worse?
So, if you're an employee of a university, you become representative of the university. And so, you might have students who call another student, or you might have a white student calling a black student a nigger. And if that happens, that should be dealt with the student, between the student, with the student, the offending student, and then with both students. And then the institution should let it be known that this is not something that we want to condone, and then be very explicit about it. But what we had at the University of Missouri at that time is you would have administrators make loose statements. You would have administrators not really address the issue, and then it would get bigger. So an example is um, our student body, or the undergraduate student body president at the University of Missouri, he was called a nigger by some three white boys in this truck driving by, and he was just going about his day, and he had made this known, like, he had told people, and then administration didn't do anything or say anything about it. So what he did, he got on Facebook, and then he wrote this post, and then the Washington Post picked it up, so it became public. And then that is when the university reached out to him, concerned, and that's when the university sent a message out. But you had to ask, was it because of the student's experience, this black student's experience, or was it because of negative PR? And so you have incidents like this keep popping up. And this was our student body president. He's high profile. And so you keep having incidents like this. You have students who start to feel alienated and marginalized, black students. And then you have white students who are emboldened to keep engaging in this destructive behavior. And that creates an unhealthy campus climate.
Yes, yes. Wow, that is amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us here this morning. So now let's take this direction. So let's take this direction into March for Our Freedom 2020. This year has been so overwhelming, for everybody. But this last March 30th, it was so important for the Gainesville community, and I will say for the Black community in general. But here in Gainesville, it took place like a peaceful, well organized, and wonderful. I wouldn't call it protest. I will say like it was like a march. It
Yes.
was it was like a march for our freedom was the title, and I think that's a perfect title to describe it. And you were a huge leader alongside Ariel Lane. What can you tell me about this? And now we're gonna share with you guys while you're talking some image of this wonderful march. What can you say about March for Our Freedom?
What can I say about it? I want to say that I am grateful to have. I'm grateful that I was invited to join the March for Our Freedom. I think I'm always a little bit skeptical. I know when, you know, a mutual friend between Ariel and I reached out to me and then put me in contact with Ariel because I started asking him too many questions because I'm very intentional about what I devote my energy to. Because of my previous experiences, it's very easy to burn out. And so I'm very mindful about what I commit to. And so when Ariel told me her idea and the purpose of it, and she talked about how I might help, I was like, I gotta help. I gotta do it for the cause. Because it was just, you could tell that Ariel and her team, they had put together a plan and they were being very strategic in terms of safety, in terms of messaging. And so, yeah, I knew I had those skills, and so I wanted to support. Like, I'll support anybody who is whose interests align with mine for our human collective. And I don't care who that is, black, white, everything else.
And that is another thing that I wanted to ask you. Your speech was based on emotions, and I loved it. Emotions, how to deal with emotions in times of crisis, how to help each other, how to come together as one. What can you tell me about emotions? Talk to me about that.
Well, emotions are the one thing that make us human. If we didn't have our emotions, we'd be robots. But ironically, through my own journey, I had learned through cultural conditioning, socialization, through culture, religion, school, etc., that you don't share your feelings. You repress your feelings, and you actually focus on everybody else before yourself. And so part of what I wanted to message with the community, and I knew it was going to be a diverse audience, I wanted us to remember that we all are having very similar experiences, different but very similar, and the emotions highlight some of those similarities. And so one of the activities I did was I really wanted to invite the crowd to be vulnerable in sharing what they had been feeling over the last days, because I know every emotion that I listed um, during that moment where I did this activity, I had felt. And so, knowing that there's a shared humanity in all of us, I believed that everybody was going to raise their hand, and we saw what happened. It was very powerful. And so, the shame of not being connected with your emotion or your humanity, we dismissed in that moment. We all connected as one, and I think that was one of the most powerful moments for me, just seeing everybody be vulnerable in their shared humanity.
You also mentioned how important is to value woman, how important is to value every single culture, and why in the middle of your speech you are also bringing that we've been taught that women's they are not as valuable as men, and why you wanted to connect all these points to share those emotions with
Yes.
people. Talk to me about
Yes.
this.
Uh, you know, Elio, I'm glad you picked that up because I was very intentional. I think during these times, particularly when there's racial injustice, it's easy as a black person, and I've even felt it, it's easy to really feel disconnected from white people. I've even said I've hated white people, and at the same time, I've always had really close relationships with white people, at different points in my life. And so I think by bringing in my experience as a male, I can then normalize, like, we're all privileged, both privileged and oppressed, depending on what identity that we talk about. And so I share, I don't know the experience of a white person. I have been oppressed by white people, but as a male, as a man in this society, I know that I'm in a position of privilege or power to potentially oppress women, or use that power to advocate for women. And so because I've done my internal work and I continue to do that work, I make it a point to center the experiences of women and to, when I can, ally and stand in solidarity with their plights and their movements. And so I think that was a good opportunity um, to do that. And then also, yeah, normalize for white people. Yeah, like I deal with privilege too, and you can do the work and you can change and evolve.
That is so wonderful, and it is beautiful. You know what you are saying, that you are putting yourself in a position when you are trying to have a point of view different than everybody else, so you can also not support this movement, but also support women's, and you are. I really hope that people that are watching this show, that you are learning and growing with this, because there is so much value on what you are saying right now. And that's why after your speech, I remember that I was live streaming the whole march. I was like, oh my gosh, I need this guy. I need this guy to share your thoughts and to share your knowledge and about all of this, that I think it is really priceless, because you don't get to I mean, you turn your TV on and it's fake or bad news. You start listening to somebody else or talking to somebody else, and that nothing positive is coming. So what you are sharing today, it is huge. It is absolutely amazing, because you are teaching through your emotions and your own experiences different tools, how people can deal with emotions and how people can actually see things from different point of view, and
Yeah.
that is just priceless. Once
Yes.
again, that is just priceless. So yeah, what do you think about people actually thinking that the black community, it is actually using the image of George Floyd as a hero? What do
Yeah.
you think about that?
I think you know, I don't know. People can judge it or whatnot. Part of what if I can go back and bring me back if I go on a tangent, because I can do that. But what you were describing me doing, putting myself in other people's shoes, is compassion. Like this desire to want to understand somebody's experience, not only my own self-compassion, but the experience of someone else. So that's my value. And so when I hear other people, particularly when I feel strong emotion against them, I really try to lean into compassion. And so for me, I understand people make heroes out of people who help them. You know, in some ways, Michael Brown was my hero because he woke me up from my sleep. You know, he gave me an opportunity to understand how vast this problem was, and that I needed to play a role in transforming this thing. And so, you know, I don't know if I use. I think in some ways we all have potential to be a hero for somebody, and I think the Black community, you know, we have a lot of heroes. We go through a lot of oppression, so we at different points in history we identify with these people and these movements, and so I just try to understand it for what it is. Black people are hurting, and you know this is the moment to focus on this family's pain, this community's pain, and so however they want to make sense out of it, you know that makes sense to me. So I don't try to judge it. I try to get curious about it. Does that make sense?
Awesome, awesome. I really like when you focus on compassion, and that's why I call you a little bit ago activist for humanity,
I like
because
that.
because when you focus on compassion, you are talking about everyone. You're talking about the world. You're talking about every single race, every single culture, everybody out there, feeling compassion for each other, helping each other, growing together as one world, as one big community, and understanding each different all the cultures, right? So what do you think would be next step? Now the march for our freedom is part of history. It was so successful. I mean, we're over 65,000 views on social media. It reached almost 200,000 people. People keep sharing it, and I am proud of that because it was once again peaceful. It was well organized, and your message was so awesome. So, what would be next step for you personally? Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this personally for you. What? How do
Yeah.
you feel is gonna be the next step for Ruben?
So what I'm gonna do, I've found my life's purpose, my life's purpose and passion, and so I've committed every day of my life to practicing love and compassion for myself and love and compassion for other people, and the things that I get myself involved in, I look to see if I can actualize that goal. So in my work, how can I actualize this space and create love and compassion for myself, but the people around me? You know, when I engage in, consultation or, help people in their work. So like Ariel, is this an opportunity for me to share the message of love and compassion? So that's the work for me. And it can look like a lot of different things, whether it's getting in front of an audience of thousands of people, talking to you, talking to the person who's homeless on the street. I don't want to be an activist. I want to be a human and live my life in an active way. And that's what I plan to continue to do.
That is awesome. Actually, that's the reason I asked you for the question before. When I ask you if you do you agree with people if George Floyd is a hero or not, it's because I wanted you to talk about compassion. I want people to understand that it doesn't matter if he was a hero or no. It was a human life. He
Yes.
was a human being, and at an event that took place, and it was completely. I mean, there is nothing
Yeah.
that can justify what took place that day. So it is so important that people understand all the points that we are talking here, and people understand that every single aspect of emotions, of compassion, of actually knowing what their purpose. So you are talking about purpose, all right? And Les Brown, and I love Les Brown. He's always said that human beings we need to find purpose that they are bigger of themselves, bigger than themselves. So, and you just share your purpose in life. What would you say to people that they are trying to find purpose in life,
Mm,
and what would you say to people that they are trying to find meaning in life? What would you say to people that they are hungry to
yes.
find themselves? What would
Yes.
you say to them?
What a beautiful, well-timed question. And if I can, I want to go back to my message at the march. The message was the time is now to put your mask on. And I wasn't talking about the N95 mask for coronavirus. I was talking about metaphorically speaking, the oxygen masks that fall from planes that will help you survive in the case of an emergency. And right now, I think a lot of folks are fear-based, afraid, feeling separated from each other. They're losing oxygen. They're losing that life force. So my invitation would be for folks to focus on them. Like right now, I know my wounds, they're very raw. My racial trauma is coming up. Even that protest in a lot of ways brought up a lot of my previous wounds from, previous protests and marches for the last unarmed black person who was died, or who passed, or who was killed. Um, but when we start focusing on ourselves and healing our wounds, we have the practice. We practice and learn how to love ourselves. We practice how to give compassion to ourselves. And so then we have the capacity to do it with other people. I then have the bandwidth to say, how can I better understand you, instead of you're they, or fuck you, or I hate you, or you need to die. I start to say we're 99.9% the same, and the 0.1 is the difference. So how can I focus on that 99.9, and then how can I respect that 0.1 of difference?
Woo! That is so huge. That's remarkable, brother. Thank you for sharing that. I love how much passion you have for your for your feelings, for your emotions, and the way you actually share your knowledge about it. It is fantastic. So, Ruben, would you be willing to communicate to? Would you be open, let's say, to help other people that they are trying to find ways to understand these situations, to find ways to understand their own emotions? I'm telling you, this show is helping me a lot personally. I mean, you are a person that you, I mean, when I talk to you and why I was listening to you at the march, I'm telling you, you are so confident, and your energy, your vibe is so beautiful that I was like, wow, I want to talk to you more. I feel like I know you for a long, long time. Probably it was because because our ancestors. I was just sharing that my ancestors coming. They are also from Nigeria. And in case you wonder why, I was sharing a long time ago, I mean, like a month ago, that my mom is black, and I have black blood, in my veins,
We
and
all
I
do.
know.
We all do. If we go back, we're
Well,
all
do.
cousins.
Yes, exactly. That's right. I was actually sharing how most of the stuff, most of the culture, sports, music, everything came from Africa. Believe it or not, trust me. You go deep into history, if you go deep into your ancestors, remember that we were discussing actually last Friday that with a good friend that we are all immigrants. With Laura De Paz, an
Yes.
immigration attorney, we're all immigrants. We're all and part of an amazing evolution. And the fact that we've been talking to Reuben this morning about emotions, compassions, how to live as a humanity, that we can accept each other. But before you start accepting each other, I think, and you please you tell me if I am wrong, because you know about this better than myself. You need to accept yourself. You need to accept who you are as a human being, and you need to accept your culture. You need to accept your fellow community and your fellow human beings, the people that you are
Yes.
surround with. So this has been so beautiful, man. I am so inspired. I feel so inspired this morning, and I really hope that people are taking as much value as I am doing, from this episode today, that is about dealing with emotions, with feeling compassion for each other, especially in times of crisis. And I'm gonna ask you one last time before we go. Now let me ask you to look at the world. Let's face the world right now, and what would you say to everybody that they are not understanding compassion? They are instead of building, they are trying to destroy. Especially. They are doing every single thing that goes against emotions, against compassion, against humanity right now. What would you say to those people that they are trying to find answers for these times of crisis? What would you say to them?
I would say be gentle with yourself and others. The people who inflict the most violence on other people are usually the ones who are hurting the most. Like I said, when I feel strong emotions that separate me from somebody, I mean, whether you want to say it, whether it be Trump or a racist, a white person who's behaving as a racist, I, I get hurt too. I'm not saying that, I'm immune or this energy prevents me from feeling pain and suffering, but I don't want to recreate suffering. And part of that means I want to try to understand why this person is doing what they're doing. And a lot of people are behaving in violent ways or creating more separation because they've never felt connected to another person. They've never connected with themselves. And if you never connect with yourself, you haven't had the opportunities for people to give you love or compassion, you can't do it. You don't have the capacity. And so how do you humanize those people and also hold them accountable? Because we're in a big human community and there has to be a sense of accountability. And but I think it has to come from a place of, I know that you're missing something. What is that thing and how can we get that need met in a way that humanizes not only you, but this entire community?
That is so awesome. Reuben, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for all of your support, your knowledge, and your passion. Thank you for sharing your passion and your support with our morning coffee community. And I really hope that your words of wisdom and that your knowledge, can change lives this morning and can have an amazing impact in all these people's life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Reuben Fauloghi, and let me tell you, he's not only an amazing leader and activist for humanity. you're also a musician. You play instruments. We were talking about that. You play guitar, and you've been touring and all of that. But let me tell you, that's for another episode. We need to have you back so you can play and sing a little bit, and we can share your gift. Well, more your other gift, because we already know that you have the gift to connect with people.
Elio, you're too much, brother.
You are, brother. You are.
I appreciate that love. I receive it and I give it back to you, brother. Can I take a moment to thank? I want to thank you for not only filming the march, but giving me a platform to then reach the people who weren't there. So I really want to thank you for your efforts and your continued contribution to the Gainesville community and your fans. And I want to thank the folks who tune into your show. And I'm just really feeling grateful for this opportunity to connect in this way.
It is my pleasure and honor. I feel humbled by having you. Trust me, I feel humble and honored. So thank you so much, Reuben, once again. And you that are watching, remember, take some knowledge and that energy from this show and implement that in your life. Not tomorrow, because tomorrow it's gonna be too late probably. Do it now and love each other, find compassion, align with your own self and love everyone out there. All right, and remember, as I always say, stay tuned, stay happy, and live full. We're gonna see you back on Monday. This is Elio Piedra from Morning Coffee with Elio, and I am blessed to have you here as part of our morning coffee community. Thank you very much. Thank you, Reuben. I really appreciate you, brother.
Guys, thank you very much for watching Morning Coffee with Elio. Yes, we're really looking forward to seeing you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Do not forget to like us and follow us on Facebook and become part of the Morning Coffee with Elio community. Stay tuned, stay inspired, and live full.